Before the vote, residents took to the microphone to share their opinions on the bag ban. The Bridgewater Business Association made a statement regarding their hopes to have the ban turned down.
Interestingly, it is the consumers who mostly prefer and select the plastic bags, which, by the way, they will argue, are not single-use. Bridgewater has struggled for years to attract and retain good, solid, community-oriented retail establishments by continuing to enact costly, restrictive, and Bridgewater-only regulation places existing businesses in a less competitive situation to those in surrounding communities. It also sends a message of not being business-friendly to any new establishment considering a possible move to Bridgewater. In our opinion, discretion is the better part of valor with this ordinance. Business provides the backbone of our economy, and government regulations such as this can be costly and ill-timed.
Pat Neer rounded out the open forum, reminding people that there is very little or no difference in the number of shoppers and places where the bags that Bridgewater is looking for are used.
And I just wanted to remind you that our ordinance is very flexible. Our retailers can offer bags for sale. They can give away the right bag, the bags that conform to our ordinance. So it doesn't place a hardship on them. I think I told you before, I've spoken to the managers of supermarkets. They said there has been literally no impact once they had this ordinance in place.
Before the vote, there was some question going into the meeting what constitutes as a one-time use bag.
They didn't like the definition of single use. Almost everybody said, well, I take my bag and I bring it from the store, and then I use it as trash in my bathroom, or I use it for my dog waste. Perfectly logical answer. And I probably should have caught that during the crafting portion of this legislation. But let me be clear, single use should have been clarified as any bag that was purchased for one particular use, used for a short period of time, and then thrown away.
Later on, Mr. Norris talked about the convenience of using plastic bags and the sacrifices that may need to be made for future generations.
In the end, single-use or limited-use plastic bags are convenient. They're cheaper than paper. You can pick them up, you can use them a second time and throw them in the trash and never have to worry about them again. But convenience comes at a price. And in this particular issue, our convenience is at the cost of not only just our environment, but the environment in which our children will grow up in. And as a father of a 2 and a 4-year-old, I want to do anything that I can within the purview of my office to ensure that my family has every chance to succeed in life. And in doing that, sometimes I just have to do things that aren't convenient for me. Yes, I use the canvas bags, I bring them in, I wash them once a week because my wife doesn't do it, so I do it. It's just the way it works. Sometimes you have to have little inconvenience in your life in order to ensure the future of our people in Bridgewater.
Moments later, Mr. Wood brought the meeting to a halt using the charter objection in his opposing of the ban.
It focuses on one store and only one store to try to make a difference. The difference will be a loss of summer jobs for kids, a pullback in overtime for other workers, and possibly a bag-your-own groceries situation during slow periods. I agree that the macroeconomic changes are not substantial, but the microeconomic pinch will be felt by many. At this time, I'm invoking my right under Section 2-7C of the Charter, and I'm exercising the charter objection to postpone the vote until our next meeting. I've provided over 20 pages of background material that needs to be reviewed before the vote, and everyone needs time to consider if the weak language of the ordinance is something that needs to be modified before passage. And while postponing this vote for a short while, I hope the conversation continues, but as the charter says, the debate shall stop now.
At the end of the night, Mr. Norris was disappointed by the late information being brought into the meeting at the 11th hour.
This was introduced March 17th, one day after my birthday last year. I was incorrect in how long it has been around, so it's been around for almost a year now. And in that time frame, everyone had the opportunity, whether you were a town council at that point or not, to do your own homework and research. Every single person here had the opportunity to ask me questions, to find one of the 2 professionals and a professor from Bridgewater State University, as well as an individual who's been tracking this for 5 years, or Dr. Hunt, who's an oceanographer with extensive knowledge, and ask the questions. But instead, what happened is, at the very last moment, someone introduced 20 pages to everybody at the meeting, not before, and then invoked and abused a very small ruling that was intended to be used in mostly emergency
Order,
case
Mr.
situations.
President. That's a procedure that's allowed, and I think that Mr. Norris should retract that.
It is in the charter. It is an action.
Just because it's in the charter does not change the fact that I believe it was abused. And I also believe that councilor comments are supposed to be open forum for the town councilors. I could be incorrect if you want to point it out in the charter for me.
The council is now expected to vote on the matter at their next meeting, which takes place on March 8th, and you can see the meeting on Channel 22 or anytime online at btvaccess.com.